What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. I stood tall in my designer's suit at the boarding gate of Pinnacle Airways, ready for my first-class seat, only to be met with an icy glare from Diane Parker, the boarding attendant. Never in my years as a successful CEO had I encountered such blatant discrimination, yet here I was, a target of systemic prejudice, like a ghost haunting the halls of privilege. Diane clutched my boarding pass, suspicion etched across her face, as if my very presence was a mistake. I felt a surge of humiliation, but instead of flipping the script through rage, a calm determination washed over me. The whispers of the bystanders stung, but I refused to stoop to their level. I was Marcus Reynolds, a man with a plan, a man willing to transform pain into a powerful narrative against injustice. Confiscated, I chose action over chaos. As Diane's voice dripped with doubt, I had the bright spark of an idea that would ignite change. I called upon the Phoenix Protocol, a plan I had developed for moments when the world tried to undermine my worth. Weeks later, as I sat in a private jet strategizing with my team, I realized what Diane had triggered was not just a personal affront, it was a movement brewing within me. I would gather the evidence, I would expose the systemic rot at Pinnacle. I wouldn't just be a passenger, I would become the pilot of a new course for justice. "Excuse me, sir," Diane Parker said, her voice dripping with condescension, as she thumbed through Marcus Reynolds' boarding pass with a scowl. "You're in the first-class line? I need to see your ID." Marcus straightened his back, stifling the rage rising in his chest. "I assure you I'm in the right line. My ticket is valid." He glanced nervously at the growing audience of disgruntled passengers, feeling their judgment weighing heavily. Blazing huffed, her glance flickering over his tailored suit. "This ticket must be a mistake. First class is for our valued customers. And, well, you don't quite fit the profile, do you?" Her words hit like a slap. "Excuse me?" Marcus's calm facade fractured, his eyes narrowing. "I am the CEO of Reynolds Enterprises. I think you'll find I more than qualify." He could feel the heat of embarrassment creeping up his neck, the weight of her words hammering on the exposed nerve of prejudice. Suddenly, a voice chimed in from the back. A young employee, Alex, hesitated, indignation clear in his tone. "Diane, you shouldn't." But Diane cut him off. "Stay out of it, Alex. This isn't your place." She returned her attention to Marcus, crossing her arms defiantly. The bystanders shifted uncomfortably, a collective gasp echoing in the air. "I want to speak to your manager," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. Diane smirked, a glint of triumph in her eyes. "Oh, I'm sure there's a good reason you'd want that." Futo clenched his fists, rage intertwined with humiliation. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," he whispered, his heart pounding. "But you will." As he turned away, the plan ignited in his mind, a firestorm brewing. He wouldn't let this moment define him. Not today. First-class boarding line, his breath steady but his heart racing beneath the tailored fabric of his suit. The sun glared through the terminal windows, but they felt as if they were obscured in shadows. Diane Parker's scrutinizing gaze pierced him, her fingers tap-dancing on his boarding pass like it held the weight of his identity. "Excuse me, sir, but I need to see your credentials," she said, her voice laced with skepticism. With each word, the bile of humiliation clawed at his throat. A knot tightened in his stomach. Each passing moment drew him deeper into a cauldron of frustration and injustice. He was Marcus Reynolds, a name associated with success, influence, and wealth. Yet here, in this sterile terminal, it meant nothing. Bystanders leaned in, their murmurings echoing the whispers of doubt he'd fought against all his life. He could see Alex, a young employee, visibly torn between knowing who he was and the systemic burdens he hadn't escaped. Rather than erupt, Marcus swallowed his anger. He'd been quiet for too long. Professional, he looked past Diane, her unwillingness to see him. In this moment, clarity struck like a bolt. The mistreatment was unbearable, and the choice loomed, succumbing to anger or harnessing it. The Phoenix Protocol ignited within him, burning through the apathy. He'd had enough of being underestimated. The tide would turn. Positioned on his heel, he pulled out his phone, determination coursing through him. The call he was about to make could disrupt everything, shatter the facade of complacency that swallowed lives like his whole. No more silence. This was the moment he would reshape the narrative around him. Marcus took a deep breath as he stood before the boarding gate, his posture straightening with resolve. "Excuse me, Diane," he said evenly, his voice firm yet calm. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding. This ticket is valid." He displayed his boarding pass, the tension palpable, as a few bystanders shifted uncomfortably. Diane's dismissive glare didn't hold the weight it used to. "First class isn't for everyone," she retorted, her voice thin with condescension. A flicker of anger sparked in Marcus, but he quelled it. Today was different. Insistence. "I'm not here to argue," he continued, maintaining eye contact. "I take my seat or I'll make a call that could impact your entire company." The quiet confidence in his tone stilled the atmosphere around them, eyes turning towards him in curiosity. He felt a subtle surge of power, the small victory of reclaiming his dignity. As he walked down the jet bridge, his mind didn't linger on the confrontation, but rather on the next steps. In the privacy of his jet, the Phoenix Protocol took shape. "We gather evidence," he instructed his team. "Show them what prejudice looks like when it's documented." Later that evening, as social media buzzed with posts about his ignoble treatment, his phone rang. It was Alex, the young employee. "I wanted to apologize for not speaking up at the gate," he said, sincerity in his voice. "It's okay," Marcus replied, a hint of warmth threading through his otherwise cool demeanor. "Change takes time, but it's happening." He hung up, a smile tugging at his lips. He wasn't just a passenger anymore. He was steering the course of an entire airline, and nothing could hold him back now. Marcus stood before the sleek gate of Pinnacle Airways, his designer suit tailored to perfection. The buzz of the crowd faded as Diane Parker, a sharp-eyed attendant, blocked his path. "I'm sorry, sir, but you don't have access to first class." The moment stung, the indignity palpable in the air as whispers coiled around him. Bystanders shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between the well-dressed CEO and the gate agent. Marcus clenched his jaw, suppressing the torrent of indignation, his heart pounding beneath the weight of her prejudice. Instead of lashing out, he nodded slightly and stepped aside, his mind whirring with thoughts of the Phoenix Protocol. Weeks later, the scenes shifted dramatically. Flickering screens in Pinnacle's headquarters erupted in chaos. Flights canceled, bookings lost, Pinnacle's very foundations seemed to tremble. The executives who moments ago dismissed Marcus as inconsequential now scurried like roaches caught in light as the public outcry surged. Social media ignited with fury over the airline's track record of discrimination. Every tweet, every post, a nail in the burial coffin of their reputation. Till inside the boardroom, Marcus exuded calm authority. He presented evidence like a symphony conductor, orchestrating an uncomfortable crescendo as Victoria Chun, a once loyal insider, stepped forward. "This was known, and we all turned a blind eye," she admitted, her voice shaky. The board's reactions were a tableau of shock and dread, masks slipping as truth pierced their complacency. Finally, Marcus unveiled his proposal, a fire sale acquisition that threatened to dismantle their empire from within. "You wanted a front row seat to power? I'll provide you one as a stewards, not rulers." The silence that followed bore witness to the changing tide. Outside, as Marcus left, the air felt lighter. The once mighty Pinnacle was now vulnerable. The tide shifted toward change. A sense of silent triumph enveloped him as he absorbed the sounds of relief rippling through the anxious crowd. Justice had taken its rightful place. To the world, it appeared as if the very winds of transformation began to stir, a shift born from dignity, not destruction. As I sit back and reflect on those chaotic moments at the airport, I realize how far I've come, not just as a leader, but as a person. The anger I felt at being treated unjustly transformed into something more powerful. I chose not to react explosively, but rather to reclaim my strength through strategic action. Sure, I took a firm stand against Pinnacle Airways, but it wasn't for revenge. It was about opening the door to change, to ensure no one else would feel what I felt that day. I see the faces of bystanders, young workers, and executives all caught in the web of systemic issues. I wonder if they will remember this moment as a lesson. Do you think I went too far? What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had someone treat you like that? Your voice matters. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss right and wrong, power, bias, and justice together. Your experiences could spark the next wave of change.